My name is Sharania, and today I'm going to narrate the story of Mira and the Starwell of Kindness. My entry number is A219786. In my kingdom, Lumenville, the streets aren't made out of stone, they're made out of dream dust. Pressed firm, and they sparkle faintly under every footstep. Above us, the sky is a quilt of stars stitched close together, as if the night itself afraid to leave any holes where sadness might slip through. I'm not a princess, or a wizard, or a famous hero. I'm just Mira. And every morning, I sweep the village paths. My broom doesn't just gather leaves, it gathers people's worries. A little gray crumbs of them, so the road looks brighter every day. But one morning, the dream does look dull. The air tasted like rain that had forgotten how to fall. Neighbors were whispering in the marketplace. I knelt and touched the stone. It felt freezing, cold in a way that it felt lonely. The stars have begun to argue, a voice murmured behind me. I turned around and saw a tiny creature, no taller than my knee, wearing a twilight-colored cloak. His name was Glint. He was a lantern sprite. He pointed up to the sky. My breath caught. For the first time in my life, I saw a thin, dark scratch tearing straight across the heavens. That is the rift of muffled light, Glint told me. Peace is slipping from Lumenville, and your heart mirror has chosen to fix it. I looked up at the shadow. I don't know the spells, I whispered. I only know how to help. And Glenn just smiled at me. He said, that is the oldest magic. Glenn led me past village to the shores of perfectly still lake called Mira Pond. Hidden inside the bark of an old willow tree, we found a lullaby map. It wasn't a normal map. It looked like a sheet music, and it hummed a gentle melody when I held it in my hands. Glenn told me that it showed the road to the Starwell, the place where our kingdom's peace is poured out each year like a bright water. Someone was covering it with the gloom. If we could clear it, the sky would heal. But if we failed, the shadow would become a habit, and people would eventually forget what kindness even felt like. I swallowed hard, looking at the ripples at the lake. I hate habits like that, I said. Let's be brave together. The next day, the singing man guided us into deep forests of borrowed lanterns. It was a strange, quiet place. Glowing jars hung from darkness branches like fruit, each labeled with a name. Glint explained that when people felt too tired to shine, they store their light here for safekeeping. Things like courage, trust, or laughter. But a cold wind was blowing through the trees, pinching the flames out. In the center of a dark clearing sat a gloomoth, a creature shaped like a heavy heap of wet ash. It had no face, just a mouth that opened and closed like a forgotten purse. Why polish peace? It hissed at me. Let it crack. I eat the light that comes from people choosing goodness, when it would be simpler not to. I looked at the fading lanterns, thinking of all of the promises that my neighbors had made to try again, to love again, to be brave. I walked to a nearby tree and unhooked a small steady lantern labeled Mira, Patient. Glint gasped, that's yours! From when you were 9 and your goat ate your favorite ribbons. I shrugged and smiled. I was very dramatic about those ribbons. I raised my light high, looking straight into Ash Monster. Gloom out, I said. You can't have this. It lunged forward, greedy and dark, but I didn't flinch. Instead of fighting it, I did something that it never expected. I held the lantern out, not as a weapon, as a gift. You said you were hungry, I told softly. But stealing light won't fill you. Patient means knowing that even the darkest storms eventually run out of rain. The moment I shared my light willingly, the lantern flared with blinding and beautiful brightness. The gloom shrieked and transformed right before my eyes into a tiny glowing star sprite that has just been lost in the dark. With a joyful chime, it flew upward to the trees. High above us, the rift of muffled light sealed shut with a brilliant flash of gold. The next morning, back home, the dream dust sparkled even brighter. I picked up my broom, looked over at Glint hiding in the willow branches, and began to sweep. Because I learned that anger burns fast, but kindness is a lantern. It doesn't hurry, but it lasts. Thank you.